So here I've selected star from our bookings table, and you can see we have an ID field, a screening ID field, and a customer ID field. And here I've written a query which says select count ID from bookings. So let's run that. And you can see there are 410 bookings in the bookings table. But what if we wanted to get the number of bookings per person? So let's select star from bookings again, and you can see we have this customer ID. So let's try and select customer ID here and count the ID. So hopefully this is going to show us each customer ID and the count for each customer ID from the bookings table. So hopefully we'll get the number of bookings for each customer. So let's run that. And you can see we've actually got an error, and it's saying we need a group by expression. So basically any column which we've stated here which isn't an aggregate function, so in this case customer ID, must appear in a group by function, group by clause. So let's add our group by clause now. To do that, we just need to go on the next line and type group by, followed by the column name. So in this case it's customer ID, and then we can just run this. And you can see if we get rid of this error bar now, you can see we have more than one value returned. We actually have a value for each customer ID. So we can see customer 1 made 16 bookings in October 2017, customer 2 made 4, customer 3 made 6, etc, etc. So now we have our count of our ID field grouped by customer ID. So we've used an aggregate function, but we've got more than one row returned, and that's because we've grouped by our customer ID. So let's select star from bookings again, and you can see we also have this screening ID. So let's select our screening ID as well in this query here. So let's type screening ID. So as well as getting the customer ID for each booking, we should also get the screening ID. So let's run that. And you can see it's returned an error again saying that expression 2, so the screening ID, is not in a group by clause. So any column which we put here must appear in the group by clause if it's not being aggregated over. So we can put a second column in here. We can say group by customer ID, comma, screening ID. And let's run that. And you can see we now have results returned. So let's have a look at the results. So what is it saying? It's saying that customer ID 1 made one booking for screening ID 11, he made one booking for screening ID 24, and one booking for 33, 37, etc. in October 2017. So we're now getting a combination of our customer ID and our screening ID and the number of times that customer made a booking for that screening. So customer ID made one booking for each of these screenings, and then customer ID made one booking for each of these screenings, and 3, 4, 5, etc. for every single customer ID. So what's happening is, for every unique customer ID plus screening ID, so 111 is unique, 124 is unique, 133 is unique, etc., we're getting one value returned in the count ID column. So 11111, etc. So this is what happens when we group by customer ID and group by screening ID. So let's try and write a complicated SQL query where we're going to join 4 tables together, and we're going to include a group by clause. So I want to join the customers table, the bookings table, the screenings table, and the films table together to get some good information in our result set. So let's type select f.name. So I want the film name from the name from the films table. Then I want the start time. So I need to go to the screenings table and get the start time. I want the customer's first and last name. So I need to write customer.firstname and customer.lastname. And then finally, I want to count on the bookings ID like I did in the previous query. So I want to write count b.id. And I want to say from films F. And then I want to join the films table together with the screenings table. So I want to write join screenings S on F.id. So the ID field in the films table is equal to the film ID column in the screenings table. And then I want to join the screenings table with the bookings table. So let's type join bookings B on s.id is equal to b.screeningID. And then the last join I want to do is between the bookings table and the customers table. So let's type join customers C on b.customerID is equal to c.id. So that's it for our joins. Now we need to add our group by clause. So we need to group by 4 different columns because we have 4 columns in our select statement which are not being aggregated over. So we need to say group by f.name and then c.lastname, c.firstname, s.starttime, and then that's it for the group by. And I also want to add an order by clause, so I want to order by the start time. So let's order by s.starttime and run that query. And you can see we have the films here, we have the start time, we have the first and last name, and then we have the number of bookings that they made for each film. So we can see here Cherry Wang, John Smith and Simon Davis all made a bookings for Dunkirk, which was shown on the 1st of October at 1 PM. And then for Blade Runner at 1:30 PM on the 1st of October, we had Teresa Davis, Sally Lamb and Emma Watson, and so on and so on. So we had Dunkirk at 2 PM from Noel Smith, and you can look through all this data here to see who made bookings for which film and at which time and how many bookings. So that's it for the group by clause for now. Just remember that any column you select in the select statement which isn't being aggregated over must